Hey everybody, it's Eric and this is the Army of Drunks. Season 3 is coming to a close soon, but this is our Suffering Bastard show. Hey, you ever go to Disneyland or Disney World and just wonder who that suffering bastard was inside the Winnie the Pooh costume? Well, we've got someone like that here for you tonight. So sit back, relax, enjoy, put your feet up, keep your face on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, inhale deeply, and remember, your liver is the happiest place on Earth.
Champagne Room at the Shady Days Retirement Home in Azusa, California. It's the Army of Drunks Talking Funny Radio Podcast with your host, Shaft, Matt Shaw, Buckdown, Spork, and Mixmaster Therm. And now, let's get ready to mumble.
Here we are.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast thing. I am one of your hosts, Eric, also known as Shaft.
Is your good buddy Buckdown still there for you?
Yep.
Right
Matt
here.
Shaw is here.
Matt Shaw, right here.
Mixmaster Therm was here. He left the room.
Yeah.
So he's got to come back and complain that we didn't introduce him. But when he comes back, we'll just...
Still Spork free.
Yeah, Spork.
Yeah.
I think Spork's not coming back. I think.
Do you think she quit the show?
I think she has quit the show.
Maybe she
Either
quit
that or she's at a farm upstate. I don't know which.
She's gone to live off at a farm with the other sports. She's playing in a big field right now.
Big field. You know, every day kindly old grandma comes out and puts out a big bowl of milk for all of them.
throws some kibble at him from a park bench.
Yep. No, she's never been happier. And
She's running around with her own
us today is a man known as TJ. In the Army of
Not
Drunks.
to be confused with TJ Hooker.
No. Or I'm suddenly blanking on other famous TJs.
You were going to say TJ and the Bear and then realized it was TJ.
How did you know?
By the way, has anybody made a porn called TJ and the Bear? There has to be a gay porn.
Somebody has to.
There has
Yeah.
to be a gay porn.
Did that show come out about the same time as The Village People?
Yeah.
There was a huge
Yeah.
gay myopia in our culture that
Yeah,
nobody
there
knows.
was a blind
Yeah.
spot,
Like,
wasn't
really, you
there?
can't name this BJ and the Bear. Why not? It's Blowjob and the Large Hairy Gay Man.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
They're
it's just-
really.
BJ and the Bear tested better.
Yeah. By the way, the Village People are gay. No, they're not. They just wear costumes. They're like different walks of life. No,
They're
that's
colorful.
gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with us is TJ, and TJ is a very special individual. Say hello, hi.
Hello.
There comes a time on our show, or rather, there never comes a time on our show, but our show is unique in that we can bring people who occupy certain cultural intersections, you might say. And TJ...
Boy, do we have a Venn diagram for you.
Yes, because TJ has been both a character at Disney World and a Navy SEAL.
A paid character at Disney.
Paid character at Disneyland. Yeah,
Not
like...
just like, hey, Daddy, look at that fucking guy.
Yeah. And the drink, apropos enough, is the Suffering Bastard.
Which I'm enjoying. This is
Yeah.
really good.
It's lovely.
you know what's funny is with a name like Suffering Bastard, you would think it would be worse.
Yeah.
You can say the same thing of me.
Yeah.
Because would you describe yourself as a suffering bastard, TJ?
Daily.
Yeah, okay.
Every morning I get up and say, "Why, Lord? When? When will be enough?"
And it's not
How
a no-
much longer?
Yeah.
It's
How
not
much
a
longer
noble
with this
suffering
shit?
either.
No, God, no.
It's a pointless suffering. Yeah.
No,
Well, we'll talk briefly about the history of the suffering bastard here, because a suffering bastard
drink.
is something you've probably...
The drink.
Yeah.
No, the drink.
And TJ, the machine
We'll
that
talk
runs
about your
on
history.
indignity and rage.
We'll talk about your history at length. Suffering bastard is something you have probably seen at a tiki bar menu. Now, here's the thing. Like many of our drinks, there is what? Disputed origin
Of
story.
course there is.
Hence the bastard part.
The tiki version was made popular by Trader Vic, who basically, bit off.
Peace be upon his name.
Yeah.
We like Trader Vic.
And yours as
We're
well.
fans.
Yeah, and him and Don the Beachcomber, but his is kind of a bullshit Mai Tai version. It calls for Trader Vic's Mai Tai mix, and it's not a real suffering bastard.
Got it.
So if you go to a tiki bar, that might be what they give you. The real suffering bastard has, there's two recipes. The original was basically 1 part gin, 1 part brandy, a teaspoon of lime juice, some bitters, and some ginger beer. Now that's been revised lately. Now it's replacing the brandy with bourbon. So it can be gin, bourbon, ginger beer, lime juice.
You would think mixing gin and bourbon just like a thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're starting with.
Yeah,
That doesn't
recipe for disaster.
Now, is that what we're drinking here? Is there gin and bourbon in this?
We're
This
drinking
is
the brandy
first one,
version,
yeah. We're drinking the brandy version,
which was the
okay.
original version.
This is gin and brandy.
Gin and brandy.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, turns out this drink was originally served as a hangover remedy.
Ah,
I could see
the suffering.
that.
That's where the suffering part comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gets even better. It gets even better because, again, we're back to the disputed origin story. The official story is that it was created by Joe, and I'm going to get this, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, and he's been dead for years.
Joe Sandy Crack.
Yes.
Yeah, I
No,
know that
Antonio Sandy Crack at the Sandy Crack bar
Sandy Crack,
in Miami
Florida.
Beach. He, of course, took credit for it after Joe did. But no, Joe Cylon? Joe Cylon. We're
Joe
going to call him
Cylon.
Joe Cylon.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's Scailom.
That's
Joe
Cylon.
Salem.
Yeah.
Let's call him Joe Cylon.
Yeah.
So Joe
it.
Cylon apparently was a bartender.
you're Indians.
By your command.
He was a bartender at the Shepherd's Hotel in Cairo.
Cairo.
And back in 1947. Now, the Shepherd's Hotel
Is this
bar.
our first Middle Eastern drink?
Well, it was pretty anglicized.
Middle East is not really a place for booze.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Yeah.
They don't
By
like
the
booze
way,
over there.
shepherd, not a native Egyptian word either. No, shepherd is English, and it was an English bar. And apparently, this was a big bar for people to stop by during World War II.
They made that pie.
Yep.
They're
where it
famous for that pie.
Famous for their pie as well.
Yeah, supposedly like Winston Churchill stopped there, Charlton Heston, Charles de Gaulle, Egyptian King Farouk. Apparently all stopped at the Shepherd's Bar, and apparently Joe Cylon. He will be Joe Cylon forever.
Yeah.
Every time I say Cylon, could someone say by your command?
Yeah.
No.
We can punch it in.
We'll punch it in. Serve drinks
Yeah,
to all
every
of them.
time you say that, you just run
Punch
that
it in.
sample.
We'll punch it in. So apparently, even Rommel said that he hoped to, during his desert campaign, said, "I'll be drinking champagne in the master suite at Shepherd's soon." He said it in a German accent, and
Sure.
he probably said it while he was
Yeah.
probably said it while he was torturing Indiana Jones or
Yeah.
something. But he failed. He didn't get there.
That didn't happen.
He lost in the desert because
Yeah, he never made it out of Africa.
nope, Germans always lose in the 20th century. So he made it apparently deliberately as a hangover remedy, as I said.
This makes so much, like, of the things that I have seen forwarded as a hangover drink,
Yeah.
this one actually structurally makes the most sense. It's
it's
light.
pretty.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
In your
light.
face. It's pretty in your
obviously got a lot of booze in it. It's super drinkable, but this is something you could roll out of bed. This is something I could actually
Yeah.
see choking down while hungover. Like, when you think about a Bloody Mary, it's so viscous.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, it is like, I mean, the last thing you wake up with hungover is an appetite.
Yeah.
It's hit and miss. We are at a later date. We are definitely going to have to do a Bloody Mary show because I've got some thoughts on Bloody Mary.
Oh, do you?
yeah,
Anyway.
right.
But anyway, so it was originally called, this drink, the Suffering Bar Steward, which
Okay.
apparently got
A little less of a ring to it.
yeah, it's apparently just got mangled at some point into Suffering Bastard, and it stuck.
I think it's better.
Yeah, I think
don't
it's
wanna
much better.
Don't complain about your job on the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just give me a drink.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to Chili's, for example, or TGI Fridays, you don't order the appetizer plate called "fuck the waitress." I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's,
Right. I hate my job. I'll have that.
Yeah, I'll have the hate my job. I'll have the yeah.
The customer's always
And again, this
wrong.
was 1947. Now, as time went on, apparently he came up with two more bastard drinks, rather.
Okay.
And let me scroll down. I can fucking find them. So basically, Suffering Bastard originally made with brandy. And then there's one with bourbon. There's also a version that calls for rum, if you want.
Okay.
You know, I don't know why this
I could
happened.
see. Yeah, it feels like you could almost throw any liquor in this.
You
Yeah.
pretty much could. I mean,
if you're already mixing bourbon and gin at the same
You
time,
can't get worse.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, so gin is the heart is the anchor to all of this, much like it was the anchor to the English Empire.
Yeah.
But so in order,
Right.
there was the Suffering Bastard, the Dying Bastard, and
Jesus.
the Dead Bastard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that went
Do one of
dark
those have
fast.
peppermint
Yeah, well,
schnapps
it
in
was
them?
World War II.
It was World War II. Yeah.
Well, you know how I said there's a little rotating wheel of either brandy, bourbon, or rum. Well, each of these drinks just adds one more in instead of swapping them out.
Oh, they just become
I see.
cumulative?
Yeah, so like the Suffering Bastard has brandy, the Dying Bastard has brandy and bourbon, and then the Dead Bastard has brandy, bourbon, and rum.
And Zyklon
all
B.
with gin.
Oh,
Just fucking chuck a pellet of Zyklon B in.
Yeah.
10 minutes in, and
There you go.
Hey, everybody.
made a Zyklon funny.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Holocaust joke time.
It's also
Yeah.
traditionally served if you're passed out on the floor. It's just poured over your face.
Yeah. I'll show you a final solution.
It started already, hasn't it?
yep,
Yeah.
10
Wow.
minutes.
10 minutes in, we're into the
I
Holocaust
was in
joke.
Germany for 2 weeks, man. Like,
What'd you do that for?
You cannot make those jokes there, can you?
Well, on that happy note, I'd like to close with the little urban legend, which is actually true about Suffering Bastard, which is that this apparently Paste magazine, which is I guess an English magazine.
Paste
It's called
magazine?
Paste magazine.
It's a very, it's a,
Paste?
It's
a
the
super
blandest
hip-
magazine known to man.
It is, yeah.
The pages stick together, even though there's no naked women on them.
Yeah.
So apparently they found a telegram in 2015. They found a telegram from the war, which was to Joe Cylon, that said, quote,
By
"Can
your
you
command.
please send 8 gallons of Suffering Bastard? Everyone is really hungover."
ha!
So sent
Okay.
telegram from the front line. Please
Everyone
send
is really
8
hungover.
gallons to the
We had
front
to change
line.
this up.
Yep.
God, can you imagine like being at war and super hungover?
Yes.
Like, cause they get
How could
going
this get
pretty
any
early.
worse?
Can you
Yeah.
imagine being at war, super hungover, and in the Egyptian desert?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so you're already like we all
All right.
know what it's like.
Okay,
to be
you imagining
hungover
that?
in the desert?
Now
and
imagine,
dehydrated.
like, I don't know, a giant inflatable Ronald McDonald blotting out the sun. All right, if you imagine that. Okay, now imagine
almost.
there's like a millipede crawling out of your pee hole. Okay, you imagining that?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where this is
none
going.
of this is supposed to be rock hard right now,
Yeah,
right?
no. Not supposed
Ask it
to.
for a friend.
By the way, Therm has given me a bourbon version of the drink.
All right, I'm
Which tastes of coconut to me.
We're finishing off
Is it?
the previous one here, and then we're going to
Yeah,
try
he's
the
got
next one.
the bourbon one's a little
Working on it.
unsurprised, not as smooth, a little boozier, but nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way people reach around to Mixmaster Therm and they're just holding their glass out and they're like, "Hey, let's
Make
go."
me drunk.
Splishy splashy, let's go.
You've got one job. Make the hurt go away
freshen this up, will you?
before I start feeling again.
Someone told yeah.
there we go.
What are we talking about?
Moving.
All right.
Well, so far we tried to get through. Yeah, I think we got into Nazi. We got
we got
sidetracked by
Nazis. We started Disney. We
Covered
started
Nazis.
with Suffering. We went to Nazis, and we're going to Disney next. So hey, stick around because where are we going? We're going to Disney
We're going
World.
Disneyland.
We're going to
This is Disney World.
This
Actually,
is-
yeah. Okay, so the connective tissue we hit Indiana Jones.
We found Indiana Jones.
How did we hit? Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
But Walt Disney also kind of
Wait a minute.
racist.
Yeah, you
Kind of
so
Nazi,
yeah. Yeah, there's
You know
like
what?
a 6 degrees that you can get from Disney to Indiana.
There's racism everywhere you look in this world.
Yeah.
All you got to do, it's all around you every day. Like this, like the wind and the breeze,
Yeah.
like the
it
sunrise.
was there all along.
It's the face on every child.
Yeah.
You're soaking
Racism.
in it. Racism.
It's in a voting booth, voting for a completely incompetent billionaire.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop. Okay, you are listening to the Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast, Brouhaha. We are drinking the Suffering Bastard. We will be back
here's round
with
2.
TJ, and that's all we got. Don't turn Nazi while we're gone.
Nope. Yeah, please don't. We'll be right back.
I like the unusual flavor of Thunderbird wine. It's an exceptionally good drink for every occasion. Thunderbird has an unusual flavor all its own, not quite like anything I've ever tasted. I suggest that you try Thunderbird. It's really delightful.
When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight.
Yeah, apparently, step aside, officer. I'm a podcaster is a thing.
Yeah, that's our new slogan. In fact, I'm
all right, officer, I've
gonna
got
get one of
this.
our friends on Fiverr to record that for us.
Everyone,
Nice.
everyone stand back. I have a podcast. It's cool. I got this. I get day drunk with my friends in front of microphones, in front of shitty $30 microphones. I've got this, officer. It's cool.
All right, let's give the podcaster some room, everybody.
Yeah, and you're back to the Army of Drunks.
That's something nobody's ever said on an airplane,
Yeah.
you know, like 30,000 feet on the air. Is there a podcaster on the plane right now?
If there's a podcaster on the plane, if you
Wait a
could please
minute.
hit your call light.
yeah. Hit the call light. We've got.
Follow-up question: is it Mark Maron? Please don't come to the front.
Is there any podcaster besides Mark Maron on them?
Not you.
If you've got more than 100 listeners, this is out of your reach.
And we're back.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
boy.
by the way, you should all know I contracted with a guy on Fiverr to do a coming soon ad for our season,
yeah?
season 3. Guy in Africa who was amazing in his ability to
And you have this now.
sit in front of a microphone and read words. He was good at it. With no style at all. It was amazing.
Really?
And I
sure would be
wrote him
interested
a
in
little
hearing
thing.
that.
Little Army of Drunks is coming soon. Season 3, Army of Drunks coming soon. And I put the word in there. It said, deep conversations degenerating to dick jokes. Army of Drunks, season 3 coming. And I gave it to him, and
Those
I didn't
are
hear anything
complicated
back.
words.
Didn't hear anything back. Didn't hear anything back. Didn't hear anything back. I'm like, it was the word dick, wasn't it? Didn't hear anything back. Got a notice from Fiverr. By the way, their deadline is passed. You might want to go contact that guy. Didn't hear anything. Didn't hear anything. So finally, I dropped him on. I said, hey, how you doing, man? Everything okay? And he said, oh, sorry, I can't do it. I'm in the hospital now.
Oh.
And not able to do this. Now, here's the question. Is this a story about how sad things are in certain parts of Africa now that...
Is this a guy in sub-Saharan Africa?
I don't know, but someone is in the hospital so badly he can't fulfill his Fiverr duties.
Yeah.
This is how he earns his living. Or is this a story of a guy making a really shitty excuse to get out of saying the word dick?
For $5. Or were you scammed out of $5?
Yeah. Well, I got my money back.
Oh,
I got all
okay.
$5
All
back.
5 of them.
They
Okay.
even charge you a
Yeah.
fee.
Oh, yeah. No, they refunded that fee.
Did you have to give him your bank account information to get that $5?
No, he's
back?
not a prince. I only give that shit out to princes.
All right.
Nigerian princes only.
Yeah.
But hey, we have with us TJ. Hello, TJ.
Hello.
Tell us about.
So we're going to talk about the Disney.
We're going to talk about Disney. We're going to jump right into Disney. Those of you who have not been to Disney World, first of all, what's wrong with you? Are you not an American?
So was this the California Disney
No.
or
No.
Euro Disney?
No, it was Disney World, but I was
Florida.
also
Florida, Orlando.
Orlando.
Okay, so
but
you had to
also
live in
Tokyo.
Orlando, huh?
Also Tokyo.
Oh, so Tokyo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you're a network. You get moved around.
Not normally, but in my case.
What
yes.
year was this?
Yeah.
what
How many years
this?
was this?
This was 91.
91. So how old a man were you when this happened?
Oh God, I can't do math like that.
91.
I was in my 20s.
Okay, you were in your 20s,
I was in my mid 20s.
mid 20s.
Okay.
I should preface this by saying that before going into the military, I'd worked in amusement parks because I grew up in a small town right next to a Six Flags in Missouri. And not wanting to flip burgers or change tires for a living or bale hay or milk anything, well, most anything, I worked at...
Unwilling to milk most things.
most, not all things.
I've got
And
a
we can
list.
discuss that on a different show if you
Yeah.
want, with graphs. I started doing some character work, and I was in a bunch of the shows, the singy, dancey shows that Six Flags used to do before they turned into the crap that they are now.
So
And
there was a
Back in
golden
the-
age
there was
of
a
Six
golden
Flags.
age of
was.
the Six Flags.
Yeah,
Totally
when they
was.
were doing high art.
it really was because it was Broadway musical stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
Really? So
Yeah.
like the manager pulled you aside and said, TJ, I can tell you're an artist. You're bigger than this joint.
Bigger
this
than
is-
Six Flags, buddy.
And this is how I know to
At
not take
least
my
7
pants off in
flags.
anyone's office anymore.
So you ended up at Disney in 91.
So,
How did you
after the-
apply to that job, and what was the
You
audition?
know what? I was in
like?
Orlando anyway because there used to be a giant naval base in Orlando.
Okay.
And we were coming back from one of those little parties that we were throwing in the desert, and I opted to not re-up because I'm not as stupid as I look. And I thought, well,
Don't
I need
sell yourself short.
I know.
It's a lot easier to be in the military when they're not at war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a
that's
different gig.
And that was my idea.
I
Believe
grew
you
up-
me.
Yeah,
Some of the most fun I ever had in my life was working at a Six Flags. And now that's hard to believe now. But back in the day, that was it was very cool. Now, again, I wasn't flipping burgers
Working
or
in an
taking
amusement
tickets.
park. You're
Working
a
at-
carny, dude.
It was a party all the time. And, you know, I was making more money than anybody else at Six Flags, which is still not saying much.
Selling dope.
Okay, not as much as that guy. But you know, there are people applauding me every day. You know, back
It's
in
a drug.
Yeah, it totally is. And I was performing, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Girls,
So
a lot of girls.
oh, there were all the girls.
Yeah. Okay.
Pulling
Carnival
down
girls.
some of that Six Flags trim.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, it wasn't.
Let
the,
me tell you what the seventh flag is.
Yeah. Well, I was the. Let's face it. If you're performing in a show that involves dancing, there are very few straight men, usually, and I was either the only straight male cast member or one of two. And then you have 8 to 10 beautiful dancer girls that are the same age as you. And they're like, well, slim pickings. It's either TJ or, well, TJ. So, but anyway, so I get off, almost literally get off the boat. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And people had made fun of me in a cheerful way about working in amusement parks the whole time. And somebody just said, hey, you ought to go work for Disney. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go work for Disney.
Yeah.
So I went to a cattle call, and there were about, 100 people there.
How many
And,
did they take?
I don't know exactly how many.
100 got the gig.
It was probably about 30 people out of that
Okay.
100 that they picked. And they, the first 100, they teach you like 2 bars of a time step. And that for those of you out there that don't know what that means, is they tell you where to put your feet for a count of 16. Mm-hmm. So if you couldn't do that, or if you managed to damage yourself in some way, that was the first cut. You're like, okay, have a good
You're
day.
going to get in the goofy costume. Hang out front.
So they, it was a typical, like you'd see in a chorus line, only with much less talent. They'd move you through certain moves, and then they'd bring you back in groups of like 20 and teach you a little bit more difficult bit. And if you made it through that, they'd bring you down to the last group of 20 or the last couple groups of 20, and then they'd pull you aside, and you didn't know if they were, it was kind of frightening because you didn't know if they were saying you're hired or why are you even here, move back to Ohio. So they'd get you, they'd say, okay, congratulations, you've passed this part of the interview, and then they would pull you aside and sit down and talk to you and see if you were, some sort of Neanderthal
Disney
jerk or not.
stuff.
It's true.
What
So-
is the weirdest? What was the weirdest part of that whole audition between that part and getting to actually get out there to the people? What is the weirdest part of that in the training or anything like that? What would be?
Oh, the training?
Yeah.
Well, you get sent to Disney University. That's your
Really?
first day. In fact,
I feel
Liberal
like
arts-
that's not an accredited university.
I don't think
it's
so.
probably
It's-
not. Anyone who works at any Disney park, no matter what your position is, including Michael Eisner down to the guy who sweeps the honey wagon stuff, you go to Disney University for a week.
Indoctrination.
It is indoctrination, but they teach you stuff that has. It's stuck in the limbic part. Limbic. Yeah, lambic would be Barry. The limbic part of my brain.
Delicious.
That is. It's about customer service and how to talk to people, and that's all it is. So
Brand management to the very end.
if
Yeah.
somebody
They're good at it.
asks you at a Disney park, now they weren't talking to me very much, at least at first, because I was wearing a big plastic head, but or in a show on stage. If somebody asks you some stupid question, people would ask you questions. Really, it's like there was a group that wanted to stump you. They would say, "Hey, I always wanted to know how many light bulbs are in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom." Who the fuck knows? But you
Not
can't.
even
Do they give you
Jesus
license
knows.
to make shit up, or do you?
No. You say,
amount?
and you never say, you are not allowed to say, do not even think of answering any question with, I don't know.
Yeah.
You say, let me get an answer for you. And there is actually any phone in the park, and they're placed strategically. You call a number, and you say, I have a guest asking me about light bulbs. And they don't laugh at you on the other side.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
like,
because they're dead inside
Yeah.
from fielding all these dumb fucking questions.
and they're like,
Day after day.
hang on, and they'll pull a binder out, and now of course it's computers, but they'd
Right.
pull a binder out and they'd go, which light bulb question do you have? And they would, boom, you would have that answer. And if you were walking down the street to do something and a guest stopped and asked you to relace their boots because they didn't have hands or something, or if they just asked you a question and wanted to talk about how nice it was, and you ended up being 15 minutes late for your shift, that's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you
Absolutely.
were talking to a guest.
That guest always comes before, and unless somebody is going to get hurt or bleed out, the guest comes before
I wonder if
anything
this is
else.
why Walt Disney was such a Nazi sympathizer.
Like,
It's
because
such
of
a like an
customer
all the
service?
way in.
Those trains always ran on time.
Yeah, well, it's just that end-to-end brand management. This is, again, not to bring it back to the Nazis, but for some reason,
I don't know why the Nazis are going to.
They did have a strong brand.
No, there was somebody
whole
found
show.
recently, not super recently, but around 2011 or something. Somebody found there actually was a Nazi style guide the size of a fucking white page.
Hugo Boss.
Where the
Yeah.
literally every bit of everything was super, like in terms of branding and style and everything. Like the Nazis were like, much like Disney, it is just like comprehensive,
Whoa.
front to back, four walls. This is exactly how everything is going to be with this brand, and it is going to be uniformly maintained across every single person who works within this sphere. Like, it is absolutely a fucking big deal. And much like Disney, which is just like, we're going to make this, we're going to four-wall this.
We're going to get sued.
Yeah. Oh, like, we're the first assholes that brought the Nazi
You know,
Walt
I've
Disney
worked
thing.
for Disney, and I may work for Disney again. I just want to know that
Not anymore.
The opinions expressed by Buck Down are Buck Downs and Buck Downs alone. Do not necessarily represent those of the Army of Drunks as an organization,
No.
or me. So,
Or me, for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you
Okay.
started as a character. They don't let you. They
Right.
make you put a head on first before they let you out and talk to
What,
people.
what was the first plastic head you had to get?
Well,
in?
here's what I'm going to cover on that.
All right.
They call it a height, which involves how tall you are. Now, I'm actually only 6 foot tall.
Okay.
So technically, I'm about an inch shorter than I should have been for the characters I was doing. But because I'm a fairly strong person, and what they hired me to do was dance in shows, not walk around on the street.
Okay.
In costume,
In cost, okay.
at first anyway. So they were like, well, when you're on stage, you look taller, so it'll be fine. Plus, you're strong enough that you're not going to fucking pass out like most of these fey young gentlemen that are working here.
These theater geeks is what you were
So
saying.
you're in the like a suit.
I was on stage
in a suit, in a
yeah.
big plastic.
dancing in one of the like the
suffocating to death in a giant fun
Yeah,
suit.
trying to, how
the
it is to
floor-
dance
in the
anyway.
Orlando heat.
Right.
In the summertime.
on a concrete stage.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
lights.
Yeah. It's no wonder you fucking hate the world.
Well, and that's one of the reasons.
Boiled your brain in that thing.
Well, they were like, well, you made it through SEAL training.
Here.
And
put
they
this
were
big-
kind of right, It was like, yeah, this is okay. I don't.
So dancing around in a goofy suit is nothing at that
So
point.
yeah. So anyway, I'm 6 feet tall, and they were like, well, we need somebody that can do this height range of characters, and there's a group of characters you can do if you're the right height. A Goofy height, and they're named after the main characters, but there's lots of other characters you can do. Goofy height also is Tigger, any of the bears,
Okay.
Baloo or Liver Lips or any of those
I'm
guys.
sorry, what?
Liver Lips.
That's a real character?
Oh yeah,
That's not some
he's
shit you
from
just
he's
made
from the Jug Band.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys don't know your Disney at all.
No, I don't. So you went
Yeah.
from being on stage
Yeah.
to walk in the park?
Well, you could sign up for extra hours. Now remember, at any given time at Walt Disney World, there were 900 characters.
What? Fuck no.
Yeah. Now they weren't all there in the park on the same day,
Oh.
but that's the whole department.
How many were there per day?
Probably 150 to 200
Okay.
every day. That's just Magic Kingdom
And is that on the streets or that includes the
on the
stage
streets
shows?
and the stage shows.
Okay.
But,
That sounds right.
But,
Did they ever fight like the street guys and the stage guys? Like fuck you, no fuck you. I've got the hard job. Fuck
not really.
No. Okay.
No, because we interchanged a lot.
All right,
You could
a lot of
always sign up
interbreeding.
for extra hours. Mm-hmm. So if they needed a Goofy on Main Street, you could on Tuesday you could be like, "Well, I'm not working that day. I'm going to sign up for extra hours." And they loved overtime. They were like, because they couldn't get enough people. People wouldn't stay. it would just wear
That's
people
got to be a
down.
high turnover job.
It is, and a lot of it wasn't because they didn't like it. It's because they just physically couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, you're in
It's a-
fucking Orlando.
It's
in
an
the summertime.
incredibly difficult job to do. Plus, you got to remain in character.
In Disney character.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something about the
At
characters
Disney
at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
They are not fucking around when it comes to staying in character. They are absolutely serious. I saw a guy on a cruise ship, and I did cruise ship stuff with the characters. I saw a guy in an Eeyore costume, which is a great big giant thing you can barely move in. You don't have fingers. Yeah. You know, you can barely move your
Swatting
legs.
at things with mittens.
Yeah, the head comes down to your mid-chest. It's just a miserable costume. It's very easy to play Eeyore when you're wearing an Eeyore costume. I saw a couple of 13, 14-year-old boys throw Eeyore in the pool on a cruise ship.
Whoa.
Eeyore sank to the bottom.
And died.
This thing that weighs now
is
probably
still
100
there.
pounds.
At
wet.
least 100 pounds more than it weighed to begin with. And you can't swim. You can't move your arms or legs.
Oh, Jesus.
He sank to the bottom of the pool. Now, there were a couple of divers there that saw it, and it took both of them to get him up. Meanwhile, the costume's full of water, so even after they brought him up, he had to wait for the water to drain out so he could breathe. Never once did he drop character.
Jesus.
At all.
Wow.
Never.
How does Eeyore react to almost drowning in
Thanks for
character?
noticing
He wanders around and says, "Thanks for noticing me." That's about it.
Yeah.
That's the saddest
He
goddamn
still,
thing I've ever
he
heard.
still had 4 hours left to go on his shift.
How bad is it dealing? I mean, there's got to be at least one asshole a day, if not
What's
more.
okay, so what's the
One
worst thing?
asshole a minute.
Yeah,
Are you
really?
kidding?
What's the worst thing any kid ever did to you?
To me?
Yeah.
I guess just getting kicked in the crotch a lot.
Yeah.
What's the average age of the crotch kicking kid?
Most of the really
Go 9.
It's really weird. The difficult kids, and it's not the girls. Girls almost never give you trouble. It's the
That comes later.
it's about the 10 to 14. Yeah, the 10 to 14-year-old boys,
Yeah, I was going to say 9.
and the 50-plus aged Asian women.
Really?
Yep,
Really?
yep.
That seems
What,
surprisingly
they get
specific.
handsy? What would happen?
Well, no, they'd be like, they're very entitled.
Okay.
And they have their family with them, and they want a picture, and they would push other kids out of the way and grab you and pinch your arm and pull
drag
you
you
and
out.
drag you and like, no, stop what you're doing and do what I want you to do.
Huh.
So we were always afraid of the Asian women. So I actually, everybody has a story about the one time that they broke character that no one knows about,
Yeah.
and I've got one. So I was doing King Lion, who is from Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah. Okay.
And King Lion is very lordly, and he thinks he's better than everybody else. And he wears these long velvet robes, and he's a lion. And most people don't know you, and that's, you know, if you're a little bit hungover, you sign up for King Lion or the Sheriff of Nottingham or something that
You're
people
not
are
gonna
like.
get mobbed.
You get maybe 2 people that know who you are, you know.
Yeah.
So you
So
can
that's the ideal. You go for the bed.
yeah, you go over and
Yeah.
you stand in the shade and you just kind of stand there and you wave at people and you're like, oh God, I feel so terrible.
Yeah.
So I was doing that one day and I was so hungover. If you'd have licked my forehead, you'd have gotten drunk.
I'm not gonna. We're not gonna do.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
This little, maybe 5-year-old British girl, golden locks, big blue eyes, wearing a pinafore dress, walks up with her shiny black patent leather shoes, and she looks up at me, and I look down at her, and she says, "Your name is King Lion." And I'm like, oh, God, you are so British. And she says, "Everyone else likes Mickey, but you're my favorite." And I'm like,
Wait a minute. Stop right. Does this story now go to a dark place? Because if it does, I don't want to hear it.
it does.
Wait a minute.
But not the dark you're thinking of.
okay, all right.
So I pay attention to this little girl for a while, and she's the most gorgeous little thing that is just, oh, she's so cute, and she's got the British accent, and I just couldn't help it. And I finally said, in the King Lion voice, which is British as well, I said, "You're my favorite too," whispered in her ear, thinking that would be it and make her day. Well, here's what happened.
Already, I'm creeped out. but
She
go
got
ahead.
super excited, started jumping up and down because characters don't talk. None of the characters talk. So I was breaking a huge rule there, but trying to make this child's day. And here's why you don't do that. Because she got very excited, started jumping around, ran over and said, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy, King Lion, talk to me." And her mom was like, "Now, so-and-so, you know the characters don't talk." And she said, "No, come over, come over, come over." And I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, I'm fucked, I'm fucked. She comes over and she says, tell mummy, King Lion, tell mummy what you said. And I waved. And mom reaches down and backhands this little kid.
Oh, man.
I've had enough of your lying. I'm like, oh God, what have I done? So that's why those rules are there. Don't ever.
So basically, you gaslit a kid.
Absolutely.
Oh, but you
No.
did it for the right reasons.
I did. Paved to hell.
Yeah.
So I was there when I was actually on the street with the poo unit.
I'm sorry. What?
That's right.
Man, you got demoted fast.
Poo unit. And I was in character, but it was not. I think I was actually doing Winnie the Pooh back in the old Winnie the Pooh costumes when they needed a big, tall guy to do it because this had this ridiculous fiberglass honeypot on his head. He didn't even look
I
like
remember
Pooh.
that.
He looked like some sort of mutant
That
thing.
didn't make any fucking sense.
It didn't make any sense. So the guy that was doing Tigger that day got shanked.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. Somebody took a knife, and what they thought was his midsection, about where the liver would be, was actually his ass cheek. So he got stabbed in the ass.
Jesus.
Wow.
Never lost character.
Who shanks Tigger?
Well, if we'd have known,
Yeah,
we'd have been playing poo sticks with him. So,
Wow. Did you ever make a kid cry?
yeah.
On purpose?
Yeah. They were asking for it.
Yeah?
But there are things
Like
you
what?
have to do. You can't drop character. The Goofy head is made out of fiberglass. Mm-hmm. And if you can picture it in your head or look at it on your computer, he's got a big, goofy smile on his face. So he's got this big nose, and then his lower jaw, of course, is inset because he's inbred.
And you look out the jaw.
You look out the mouth, which is shaped kind of like this. Now there's a scrim made out of nylon cloth that is attached permanently to that fiberglass. So what you've got basically is a big piece of industrial sandpaper against fiberglass. So if someone was giving you too hard a time, you would reach down, put your head on that kid's forehead, which fit very nicely here and here, and twist your head, and it would abrade the skin on their forehead, which didn't actually leave a mark, but hurt like a motherfucker. So we call that the Goofy kiss of death.
You get them right up in the hair so they can't see the mark.
Exactly.
There you go.
Was that it? That was not.
That
in
was
any-
commonly known.
That was not in any Disney manual.
no.
I'm taking it.
You learned that from being there.
And I'm thinking they would not be happy to know that was being spread.
They all knew.
That's the mean streets
They
in
all-
Disneyland.
No, there's got to be a good balance there of like because the people in charge of you can't pretend that you're never going to get kicked in the nuts by a kid.
Right. No, they don't.
So there's got to be a little bit of don't
And most
ask,
of them
don't
were
tell.
characters a few years before.
Yeah. So there's got to be a little bit of like, don't
Don't make me
haul
see
off-
that. Don't make me see
you know,
what you're doing.
yeah, don't-
Well, that gets passed down. You learn that the first couple
yeah.
of weeks.
Yeah,
you're
like
there.
what sort of stuff goes on behind the scenes that we wouldn't know about? Like
Oh,
what's,
sweet Jesus.
come on, this is the good stuff.
First of all, you've got a bunch of late teen to early 20s, extremely attractive people of both male, female, and other persuasions.
I see.
There's a whole lot of bumping going on.
Okay.
All the time,
Where?
everywhere.
Where?
The best place
In the
for
tunnels?
me.
Where?
No, the tunnels are too well lit. The best place for me was underneath Mission for Mars.
How deep underneath Mission from Mars?
Oh, as
and
deep
Mission
as I
from
could
Mars, is
get.
that a code for something?
So the Mission for Mars was all hydraulics. So you could go down to the hydraulics room, which was very dark, but the people were maybe 20 feet away from you. And the
on
whole
the-
thing would
yeah.
be moving. Lots and lots of noise, very dark.
I miss that ride. That was weird and fun.
And
Yeah.
and so
Where else? Gosh. Well, we worked the hotels a lot, so Polynesian was big for that.
Okay.
big for fooling around.
Oh, yeah.
Like where? Where in the Polynesian?
Well, underneath the stage at the Polynesian Luau was big because it was all sand underneath.
Oh, okay.
For the more daring people, the top of the what's that called? The big A-frame hotel. I can't remember now.
The big A-frame.
Not the Continental, the Contemporary.
the one that
The one the tram
monorail
goes through.
rolls
Yeah.
through.
But we had access to anywhere because we were entertainment. So we go up on the roof and just mate like weasels.
Honestly, how much any given day is pretty much how much screwing is going on that you don't.
Can you
see
assume at any
Disneyland?
given point in time?
Yeah.
Somewhere
More
in the
than
Magic
is on
Kingdom?
your average college campus.
Okay.
Okay.
What about drinking and drugs? Or how
No,
how
never,
high?
never.
Nobody. Everybody's
Nope.
stone cold sober.
Nope, everybody is stone cold sober. If anyone had been caught walking in, and I'm not talking about management, because people that worked in the entertainment department and worked in the characters, they liked their job. They believed in what they were doing. I still do. If they knew that you were coming in, now hungover is a little different story. Because you come in a little bit drunk from the night before. If you come in regularly with alcohol in your breath, or if they find out that you're doing drugs, they'll take you out in the parking lot and kick the shit out of you.
Literally.
Literally kick the shit out of you.
Like, did you see that happen?
I did it.
Really?
No
Hell
kidding.
yeah.
Wow.
So tell me about that, or can you tell us
Nope.
about that?
No, I
Can, I'm not going to.
Did you do it in character?
No, that'd be funny.
Yeah, it didn't break
Oh,
character.
God,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would
You
be-
got fucking bounced out by the Goofy.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would have been fun.
What would be the
That's
best
not what
character to get
happened.
the crap beaten out of you by? What do you think? Pooh? Well, that'd be awesome.
Pooh would be pretty bad.
Pooh would
yeah.
be pretty good.
Yeah, I guess there's an irony level to Eeyore.
Chip.
Eeyore would be really
You
good.
Eeyore
expect it
beating
from
the hell out of you would
Eeyore.
be-
Eeyore's
yeah.
having a shitty day every day. You expect it from him.
Because I know someone
Chip, but not Dale for some reason.
not Dale.
yeah,
no.
fuck that Dale.
Fuck Dale. Chip's all right.
But that you draw the line at that. That's what is your? What do
Yeah,
you think
no,
of-
because that's a character, and that character is, I don't have any religions or anything, but that character is fucking sacrosanct to me. That's
Disney.
There are
Disney
Respect
does
The Office.
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like the
it's exactly
presidency.
it's kind of what it is.
You respect
and
The
it's not
Office.
because of Disney, although I, unlike most people, actually admire the Disney parks.
No, I gotta say, for the record, they do amazing work. There's nobody who does Disney what Disney does.
There's a lot of
as
stuff
well
about
as does
Disney
it.
You're
Well, they
absolutely
wrote
people
the
don't
book on
know.
how to do it.
They
Yeah.
do. Yeah, they did.
But they're also, everyone thinks of them as a soulless corporation. And of course, there's an aspect of that to them because they're a corporation.
Yeah.
But I remember very distinctly it was about the time that I actually met Michael Eisner
In a dark alley.
and on in a dark alley. Michael Eisner was actually a pretty nice guy, at least to me.
It's a gangbang on top of that.
Yeah.
that hotel.
Matterhorn.
It's the bukkake
He used to
and
show
the
up on
Matterhorn, yeah.
occasion.
Yeah.
I remember that in Orlando, it being the South, as you know, they found out that, and this was in '91, Disney, Walt Disney World specifically, but Disney Corporation offered, because they had really good benefits. They had really good benefits when I worked there. And they offered benefits to husbands, wives, or partners.
Right.
This is '91.
Orlando is also one of the gayest. That's a big
I'll
gay
say.
town.
Big gay town. And they never said, they didn't publish that. It wasn't in there in any of their handbooks. But you found out that your benefits also went to your partner. And one of the local fucktard religions found out about it and made a big deal about it, and we're printing it everywhere. And they were saying, we will ensure that 1 million people don't come to Disney, to Walt Disney World in the future unless you stop doing this.
Good luck with
Stop
that.
coddling the gays.
Stop supporting the gays by
Stop treating them like
by
people.
giving treating them like humans.
You know what? I feel like I remember this.
So, and I specifically remember, and it was a big story, and it was like
Yeah,
on
I feel like
page
that was
2
a
of the
big, I
Orlando
feel like that was a
Sentinel.
big story. Yeah.
Page 2 of the Orlando Sentinel is this whole thing, this whole controversy, and they ended the story with a quote from Michael Eisner. Instead of "cannot be reached," he said, "Sure," he has a comment. "We'll miss you."
Nice. Yeah.
PSE to
Which
Dick.
was basically like, yeah, here's a bag of
that's-
dicks for you.
Don't come.
So, and
Yeah.
they never talked about stuff like that. So, I have a lot of respect for them, at least in that way. And anyone who's ever worked character program, you're going to end up sooner or later being offered, not told, offered the opportunity to do Make-A-Wish. And that was one of the most closely guarded benefits of any character or person in the entertainment program. If you have finally reached the point where your seniority is high enough that you get to do a Make-A-Wish, you don't trade it off. You come in on your day off. If you're having a vacation, you cut it short and come back to do it.
Really?
And it was a huge deal. And I had, unfortunately, one of the first ones I did, the child actually died while I was there.
man.
I know.
Whoa.
I know.
Oh, hang on, because this was about to get uncomfortably heartwarming,
Yeah.
No.
and now it's just turned weird.
Yeah.
So I come in and I see
my
the kid for
God.
maybe 10 seconds. And it was Goofy. It's always a main character when you do Make-A-Wish, unless there's a special request for someone.
Goofy couldn't make it, but here's King Lion.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell?
Sorry about that horrible, debilitating disease that's going to cut your life short. Here's King Lion. So I come in, and it's a boy with cerebral palsy, and he's in really bad shape. He's got the full Stephen Hawking setup. You know, can't hold his head up. He's so weak. Gets so excited. He can't even say the word goofy. He's just goofy. And I'm, you know, the minute that happens, this is why they don't send a person in with you.
Okay.
Normally you have a keeper,
Sure.
as they call them, which is a human that makes sure that you're not actually dead on the ground. And they don't send them in because they can't see you crying inside a costume.
Right. I was just going to say, you're filling that goofy head with
And
tears.
the last fucking thing they want is for somebody to come in there and start crying in
You're
front of the
right.
kid or their parents. They want them to have a good time.
Yeah.
So this kid has a seizure of some kind within the first minute or two that I'm in the room. And there's medical people there. And the
I was
medical
going to say, you weren't alone with him.
No.
Wondering what to do.
This kid couldn't go out in the park.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in super bad shape. And they just kind of pushed me out of the room. And I was standing there like, what do I do? And then sooner or later, somebody came along and said, okay, come with me, Goofy.
Okay.
And they get you down into the halls underneath, and they're like,
They take you to the OR.
yeah.
Want you to be
Well,
the
he took me downstairs. And I was
last
like,
thing someone sees before they go under for the operation.
Exactly.
We brought in a specialist, Mr. Rosenbaum.
God, that would be so rad, like to do that, like when people get their colonoscopy or whatever. Like, all right, yeah, you're right after you push the
Yeah.
plunger on the thing. It just like right as like the little Twilight thing is coming down on you, where the propofol starts taking over. Like a guy in the Goofy, and he's still got like the surgical mask like over the front of the nose. Like, oh, there we go. And just like that's because you can't
Using
stay
my
away.
4 fingers to use the
You gotta time it out just right. You have to time it out perfectly. Like you gotta hang the back. As soon as like that punching goes, you come in. So they're just enough to where they go into sleep in a panic.
The anesthesiologist now start counting backwards.
Yeah.
Go,
No.
go.
So anyway, they pulled me down into the tunnels, and I was like, what the hell's going on? They're like, it's okay, we just a little medical problem. We're gonna go ahead and we need you to come up into the entertainment office. And I'm thinking, did I do something wrong? Am I in trouble?
You killed that guy.
So they pull me up. I'm still in a Goofy costume with just the head off. And they pull me up in the entertainment office, which doesn't happen. They don't normally want you to do that. You're either in the tunnels or on the street or backstage. So I'm waiting, and the head of entertainment walks in, who is a vice president of Disney. So he's a big deal. And he comes in, and he says, how you doing, TJ? So I'm having a little bit of a rough day. He said, okay. And he sat down with me, and he talked to me, and he said, well, the little boy passed away. And, we just want you to know it has nothing to do with you. You were doing a perfectly good job. And we want you to take some time off with pay. If you need to talk to anybody, we have people for you to talk to. Mm-hmm. And since you're going to be off anyway, we'd like you to go on the cruise line for a week. And I was like, okay, well, what about the person that would normally be? And he's like, no, you're not working. You're just going on the cruise line for a week.
You're going away.
Go out,
He sent me on a cruise.
look
for
at the
a week.
ocean for a little while.
Wow.
Just take it easy. And many of the people that I've told this story to are like, yeah, they wanted you off property. I'm like, nope, not at all. They were like, you had a rough time, go do this.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I think pretty highly of Disney.
I want to say Disney does look after its full-time employees very well, which makes up for how they treat their contract workers. But anyway,
That's another story.
Yeah, but contract workers at Disney, they don't feel pain like the rest of us.
They're not normal
yeah,
people.
I've been there. I was really hoping for a lot of more seedy underbelly, but
You know what? Maybe I led a charmed life or something, but I really liked working at Disney. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. I respected the park, even though it had its faults. The work was super hard, and they worked us a lot. But I was very happy with my time there. So
Yeah. They're just better
as we
at
wrap
it.
this segment up, where if you are visiting Disneyland and you are going to kick a character in the nuts,
Which suit is the best?
which
to get
character
in
is the best to kick in the
Protected.
nuts?
Just don't.
Which is the best protected? which is the worst protected?
The one that I wore.
That's a
I can
great
only,
question,
I can only
Eric.
speak to the ones that I wore.
terrible question.
The worst one to get kicked in the nuts in, if you were in my height range, would be Captain Hook,
Okay.
because you're just wearing pantaloons.
Yeah. There's not even a cod
Yeah.
piece.
It's not a cod
Is it?
piece.
No cod piece, so it's
Nope.
just straight nuts.
You're wearing a pair of cotton shorts, and then you're wearing a polyester pair of pants.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
It's like walking up to anybody on the street and kicking them right in the
Yeah,
gones.
in tights.
Yeah.
Like you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can just graze the nuts.
Yeah, you just flick them, and it'd be that's all you take.
And what's the hardest target?
That would be Tigger, because you can't tell where the fucking crotch is. I used to have co-eds. Here's a little bit seedy thing. Co-eds would rub Tigger's tummy, and that wasn't my tummy.
Yeah. That is a great spot to end on.
On that note,
We're
will be
not going to
back.
top that.
No.
No,
Like
that's
that
right.
entire bit. That was like the best
was the capper.
setup for a fucking joke.
That's it. The
right.
tops are made of the rubber and their bottoms are made out of springs, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the
Fuck.
Tiggers, man.
Tiggers, dude.
Oh, okay. Right.
I don't know what you were picturing.
Yeah.
What you-
Out of
going on?
context, it
Wonderful
really
thing
threw me
about
off.
Tiggers, man, is
Right.
that Tiggers are
Wonderful
hard
things.
most of the time.
Yeah.
This,
Rock hard.
day, every day.
Rock hard.
This is the Army of Drunks talking thingy boo ha ba ba he, and we will be right back
see you on
after
the next
this
round.
word from
Smoke.
Jesus Christ.
Smoke them if you got them.
Now there's new fun and excitement waiting for you at Disneyland. The opening of the Magic Kingdom's most exciting new attraction, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
Enjoy a rollicking adventure with the boldest crew of swashbucklers ever to terrify the Spanish Main. Bloodthirsty cutthroats attack a sleepy town.
Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
You're in the thick of the action as these three-dimensional pirates dunk the town's magistrate, auction its fair maidens, and set the whole village ablaze.
Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
Join the fun and excitement of Disneyland's newest and greatest attraction, an entirely new kind of family entertainment. Pirates of the Caribbean, an audio animatronic experience you'll never forget. See it now at Disneyland. Pirates of the Caribbean.
We're rolling. Hey, we are
Everybody, we're
back
back.
with TJ. We're going to wrap this little show up here. So we've been talking about Disney characters. And what we're going to do now is test your knowledge of Disney park characters. These
TJ's knowledge or all of our knowledge?
all of your knowledge. The bell's right there.
And the people at home.
Okay.
People at home. You see, hit the bell. There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read off some.
things are going to get knocked over in the process.
Yeah, I know. We should have put the popcorn next to it or the chocolate milk. But I'm going to read off some characters. I want you all to buzz in. You're going to
Okay.
tell me, as always, because this is what I fall back to when I run out of ideas. Is this a real
Character?
Disney park character, or have I made this up? All right, you ready? And
TJ
here's
has
some-
an advantage in this.
oh, he does. He may sweep this.
As in most things.
Yeah. Here's the music.
Well, there's also
And-
been like 20 years of Disney. That,
Right, but I don't know.
All right, and go, Princess Meridia. Buck.
fake because he shook his head.
Nope, real. She's from Brave.
Ah, see?
All right,
shit.
Princess Chlamydia.
Super real.
That's totally real.
Nope, fake.
No,
All right.
that's real. That's what we used to call Snow White.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
True.
Yes. True, TJ. That's one. He's on the board. Okay.
The original Mickey.
That's right. Stumpy the Unlucky Rabbit.
What is it?
Stumpy the Unlucky Rabbit.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's got to be fake.
That's fake. That's one for Buck. Okay, John Darling. TJ?
Yes, he
Yes.
was the father in 101 Dalmatians.
Actually, I think it was a kid
No,
from Peter
it's
Pan.
Peter Pan. Sorry.
Peter Pan. All right.
He was also a wrestler.
John
Was he?
Darling.
John Darling?
Yeah, WWF.
Oh,
WWF.
awesome.
I'm not sure.
Dr.
No, but it
Dr.
sounds like it.
Facilier.
Who?
Dr. Facilier.
Oh, I'm stumped.
Say it again.
Dr. No, I can't. I don't know how to pronounce it. Dr. Facilier.
He's not
No,
French. He
that's
can't
good.
do that.
Yeah.
Fake.
No, real. He's a villain from Frog Princess. Princess and the Frog.
See, that's a new one.
What's
I don't
fraud?
know.
Yeah, Dr.
Can
Facilier.
I pronounce?
Yeah, why would I do that?
Right, that's a good
Dr.
point.
Feelgood.
That's a really good point. That's a Motley Crue album.
Yes, so that's not real. Matt gets a point.
But The fact that Disney could be putting out Motley Crue records being totally plausible.
Absolutely.
Oh no, yeah, give it time. Because
It'll happen.
they've got Star Wars, they've got Marvel. They're about to make Motley Crue a
Motley
Disney.
Crue.
Yeah, there's
Disney
no way
property.
Motley Crue is not going to become a Disney product.
I want to
within
get on
our
the
lifetime.
Motley Crue ride.
Acquired for significantly less than Lucasfilm. We don't know why. Clarabelle the cow.
That sounds real.
Yes, real.
Clarabelle,
All right. Twinkle Balls, the unneutered bull. Yes?
It should be, but
Yeah.
it is not.
This is gotta be
No,
out.
TJ, you're right. All right. Clara Cluck.
Fair clock?
TJ?
I'm going to say yes, and I can't remember what from. Is it Robin
She's
Hood?
old school Disney 1930s cartoons.
okay.
Yep, Clara
I'm
Cluck.
not quite
Farrah
that
Fuck.
old.
All right, number 2, Farrah Fuck.
Fair fuck.
You should have spread those two out.
Nope. Buck?
Real.
Yeah, no. Fake. All right, what about Jay Worthington Foulfellow?
That feels right.
That feels right. I don't. Yeah.
Yes, Matt.
Yeah, I
Yes, that is correct. He's actually the honest John Fox from Pinocchio.
Okay.
All right, Jay Worthington Foulfellow. Hugh G. Rection.
Come on, man. You're not even
we're skipping that one. Next. No, we're not even trying. Panchito Pistoleros. Oh, sorry, Panchito Pistoles.
That's a little racist.
That is correct.
Yes, it is.
That's
That
how
is
you can
real.
tell that it's correct because it's racist.
Yep.
because it's racist. Yes.
It was the south of the border cartoon
Yes,
that
it was.
Disney loved so
the Three
much.
Caballeros. All right, El Pollo Racisto.
It's probably in a new film.
Yeah, it's into one of the newer ones, right?
Yeah, no, that's fake. Also, El Pollo Sensible.
I was about to say that. That's real because it's my
sensible
favorite.
chicken.
No, it's not real. All right, no,
Sensible
sorry.
chicken.
Mr.
El
Smee.
Chivo Feliz.
El Chivo, the happy goat.
Yes.
Mr. Smee
Yes.
is real.
He was the
he-
second in command of Hook's ship.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Peter Pan. Dr. Smegma.
Second in command of my ship.
You get a point for that.
Nobody's even touching the bell on that.
Quasimodo.
Real.
Real.
Yep. Who
From
gets? I'll
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
give that to Buck. Hunchback of Notre Dame. All right. Quasimodo. Semi-hard-on.
Squasimo.
Go ahead. No.
No. All
We're
right.
all just
Mr.
staring
Miyagi.
at the bell.
Mr. Miyagi.
Is that?
Is Karate Kid a Disney entity?
No.
Don't think so.
Nope.
No.
But it is Karate Kid.
Yeah.
All
Because
right.
it could. See, that's the way you could have really tilted this, was to look at like unlikely
Yes.
films that Disney had put out.
Yeah.
And by default, by extension,
These
Yeah,
are
it's a
actual
Disney-
park characters,
Oh,
and
they're
there
park
are
characters?
some pretty obscure ones that I
Okay.
didn't even go into.
Oh, yeah.
Like for example, King Richard, for
Yeah.
example. And
Richard from
like
Robin Hood.
all the many of the pigs from like the Three Pigs.
Many
cartoons,
of
they'll have
the
names.
pigs.
Yeah.
Many
Here's
of the
one.
three.
Vincenzo Santorini.
Vincenzo Santorini.
I'm going to go with real just because it doesn't sound like something you'd make up.
Yeah,
That's a
real.
Godfather character.
That's from Atlantis: The Lost Empire, with a movie nobody saw. All right, and now Vince.
It's the water world of Disney movies.
Finally, Vince Cannizzaro.
I don't know who that is.
Unless you're,
You go with real again.
No, I went to high school with that kid.
but he went to Disney
It was
once.
streaming. So basically, that was the name that the other name reminded you of while you were doing
pretty
this.
much. Yeah, Vince
Again,
Cannizzaro.
if I can make a suggestion, maybe write them all on 3x5 cards and then
What?
shuffle them
No.
so it isn't such an
No.
obvious like.
I don't know what you're talking
This
about.
then that. This
I
then
don't know
that.
what you're talking
That
about.
makes no sense.
All right, so obviously TJ wins with 7 points, and with Buck number 2 and Mattson third.
Pulling up the
We're
release
about to
list
wrap it
says.
up. What did we learn today?
We learned that
We didn't learn a goddamn thing.
it wasn't the Tigger. No, the Tigger costume. Was it Rub Tigger's tummy?
Rub Tigger's tummy.
Rub
Yes,
Tigger's
that's
tummy?
a very important lesson.
Kick Captain Hook in the nards.
Yeah.
Kidnap, don't rub
what?
Tigger's tummy. Don't rub Tigger's tummy. That's,
Never go to the roof of that hotel at Disneyland.
Unless you got galoshes on.
Barefoot. Yeah, don't do it barefoot.
Yeah.
And Disney actually treats its employees kind of well. But not its contractors.
But not its contractors.
All right.
I figured we were going to circle back around on that.
Yep. So this has been the Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast. Brouhaha. And remember,
From hell's heart,
we stab at Tigger. Good night. This has been another Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast. Wonderful world of drinking. Damn it, the shitty mic is back. I thought I'd fixed the shitty mic. Apparently not. Well, hey, go to our website, look at our Patreon, go on Facebook, and all of this is copyright 2017, Army of Drunks.